Debbie, this is Kristen in the chambers. We are now live and ready to go whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good morning, members of the Consolidated Plan Advisory Committee, and thank you for attendance in today's meeting. I assume everybody can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Today is Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. And my name is Debbie Eversole. I'm new to this role. I am the Community Development Projects Administrator for the City of Sandusky. I also want to introduce Director Jonathan Holliday. He gave a quick wave. He is the Community Development Director. So I just want to announce that today, because this is a virtual meeting, I'm going to need to document the attendance in lieu of the normal sign-in sheet. So I'll do my best to do so by clicking to the participants of the meeting. I don't know if it's really necessary for you to say here or not. I can see the pictures, but we will switch over screens to show the agenda and the documents at hand at some point. So bear with us. We're going to do this the best that we can. So I will start. The first participant that I see is a phone-in. Is somebody dialing in at 419-627-6671?
Yeah, Debbie, that's me, Steve Pajali.
Well, hi, Steve Pajali. How are you?
How are you?
Good. I thought I recognized that number. Aaron Klein, our Public Works and Engineering Director. Diane Corso, I see that you're in attendance. Greg Volz is in our planning department. He is the meeting organizer. Jason Whirling, our rec department and youth programming supervisor. Jeff Berquist, I see that you're in attendance. John Orzak, assistant city manager. Jonathan Holliday, director of community development. Maria Robinson, CFE. I apologize, Maria. Like I said, I'm new. Could you unmute and tell us your organization, please?
I'm actually here with the Mental Health and Recovery Board. I'm standing in for Brenda Cronin.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for your attendance today. Melissa Price, could you do the same, please?
Sure. I'm with Erie Metro Parks, and I'm sitting in for our director, Amy Bowman-Moore.
Perfect. Thank you as well for your attendance. I see Mike McCall. He's with Firelands Habitat for Humanity. Michael Zuhoff. He is with our Planning Commission, a member of our Planning Commission. Welcome, Mike. Ralph Chamberlain is with Erie Metro Housing Services. He's also over the the Meals on Wheels program that we are currently funding. Steve Pajali, he is the director of Erie Regional Planning. Tim Brown is with the CAC. And Tim Ott is with Civista Bank. If I've misinterpreted anybody or announced you incorrectly, please feel free to let me know that right now. Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for bearing with us on that one. That was the attendance portion. So the second thing that I want to announce is that we ask during this meeting that you hold all your questions until the public participation period comes up in the meeting. It's quite possible that a lot of the microphones will be muted by the meeting organizer. That's not in any way intended to be disrespectful. It's just that we want to get through the meeting and then we will certainly entertain any participation as we've done so in the past. Before we get to the main portion of our meeting, it's customary to review the status of the current CDBG funding. We've just begun the second half of the program. Oh, shoot. Okay, there we go. And I can go over exactly where we're at in the second half, coming into the second half. Program administration, first of all, was funded $147,905. We have currently spent down $23,000 of this money with a balance of $124,271.85. Fair housing, we funded again this year for $10,000. They've currently spent $3,000, so they have $7,000 left. Public facilities was funded $270,000. They have spent down $52,000. $52,880.27 for a balance of $200,119.73. Clearance and demolition, we have not spent down any of that funding yet. However, we have current houses that have been demolished, so we're waiting on the invoices for that. Acquisition, we acquired 2 properties within 2020 so far. We have spent down the entire $50,000. Whoops. Code enforcement, we funded that $150,000. We've currently spent down $68,454.20 for a balance of $81,545.80. And youth programming, we budgeted $5,000 for their summer and winter break programs, and we have spent that down completely, so we have nothing left in that fund currently. I did forget, and I apologize for this, that we did not report the Cdbg CV funding, which is our COVID money. So we haven't spent very much of that down. We do have 3 years to spend that. So the first round of COVID money, we were able to budget $87,465 for program administration, and we spent down $526.62 for a balance of $86,411.76. Public facilities, we have not spent down any of that funding yet, so they are funded at $54,863. Erie County Senior Center is still funded at $30,000. The OGO Mobile Food Pantry is funded at $15,000. They have spent down $5,167.20 for a balance of $9,832.80. The general food pantry funding has not been spent down yet. We have $50,000. Youth programming for CV COVID money was funded $50,000 for their dealing with COVID programming, and they have spent down $14,651.48, leaving them with $35,348.52. And then the Erie County, or the Economic Development CV funding for small business assistance, we have not spent down any of that money either, and that's $150,000. So reminder that we do have 3 years at least, minimally, to spend that money down. So it's not as urgent to spend that within the 2020 program year, which ends June 30th. So back up to the report. There are 3 main substantial amendments that we need to cover this morning, or 1 substantial amendment and 3 topics, I guess. We do need to submit this to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development under the Community Development Block Grant Program. The first amendment is to increase the Cdbg CV budget from $437,000 to $652,051. This comes from a round 3 CARES Act allocation. So before we can request this money from HUD, we have to program it to certain, items that we have in the budget. So the proposed increases to the activities that we have are public facilities CV. So this money, again, can be in response or to prepare for or prevent the coronavirus. We would propose to put 100,000 of this money into the public facilities CV to increase the budget to $154,863. The food pantries, we would like to, and mobile food delivery services, we would like to expand that to more organizations. So the current budget is 50,000, and we would like to expand that by 70,000, increasing that to 120,000. The program administration CV, it's always good to show who's actually administering the program. So they do allow for 20% of this budget. We didn't come near that. So it was currently budgeted at $87,465. We intend to increase by $14,723 to increase that coronavirus budget to $102,188. So again, that's a 3-year. We have 3 years to spend that money to administer this coronavirus money. The second activity or amendment is to add an activity to our public facilities project. So we are back to the regular CDBG funding. And this is due to we did not allocate enough activities to spend their $270,000 budget. And they do have a program in the works for Camp Street resurfacing from Washington Street to Monroe Street. So there is no impact to this budget. They are just getting more things done than they initially intended. So during the 2020 program year, the public facilities was budgeted $270,000 for 3 activities. The current budget has enough money in it for an additional activity to be completed by the end of the year. This is 6/30/2021. Work to be included is resurfacing new asphalt surface, full and partial depth pavement repair. Full depth includes removing existing bricks underneath the asphalt surfaces, 13 feet excavation depth, and width is 6 foot wide. ADA curb ramps where needed, some sidewalk and drive approach replacements, and new pavement markings and traffic loops. This project does require a substantial amendment since it was not within the 2020 action plan. And then the third amendment is to increase the acquisition project budget from $50,000 to $180,000 using $130,000 of the Economic Development Revolving Loan Account. So in the past several years, the City of Sandusky has shown an aggressive strategy in the slum and blight elimination. As part of the strategy, it is permissible for the city to utilize CDBG grant funding to acquire blighted property in low and moderate income areas for the purpose of rehabilitation, as determined by a low percentage of deterioration, or demolition as determined by a high percentage of deterioration. The city may also utilize this funding for acquisition of property to be used for a public purpose. The balance of the uncommitted revolving loan funds at this time is $131,345.06. So since the city is not utilizing the program for loans at this time, the balance can be transferred into an active project that can benefit from these funds. This process also requires a substantial amendment to the annual action plan. So at this point, we did go over everything that was proposed. Anything in red will show what the proposed amendments are. So this will be shown to HUD if this program is adopted by the City Commission. So at this time, I'm not sure if Director Holliday would like to add anything. And after that, we will certainly reach out for public participation.
Sure, Deb, and thank you very much for that overview. I think all of the people on this call will agree with me that you've really stepped up in the last year or two and are doing a great job with the program, so we thank you for that. I just want to recognize that we have a great turnout on this call, so it's really fantastic for me to see all of this community involvement in this important program, so thank you everyone for participating. I'll mention just briefly that we are very close to releasing some information on some other economic development assistance for our businesses, both through the $150,000 of block grant funding and also through our Issue 8 funding. So we are working on providing that assistance to the businesses. I'm excited about these changes though, and appreciate everyone's consideration. I think we have an opportunity to partner with more organizations in the community on the important needs around food security and food assistance, and also continuing our work on slum and blight removal for the purposes of either future rehabilitation or new home construction, or as Debbie mentioned, the expansion of some of our public spaces and parks. So appreciate again everyone's participation today and Deb's great work, and look forward to the questions and comments. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to you, Deb, and if you want to go ahead and unmute your mic and carry on with the meeting, that'd be great.
Okay. Unmuting the mic actually works well when you're trying to host a meeting. Thank you. So at this point, I'm certainly welcome to address any concerns. We do have an email that came through, which I can wait until the end, but I will certainly entertain any questions that anybody has at this time.
Debbie, it's Greg. Miss Doherty has her hand raised on Teams.
Okay. Hi, Sue.
Hello. So I am seeing a number of people who need help affording rent and utilities, and would like to know if there's any possibility of these funds to be used for that in the city of Sandusky residents who are, because of COVID.
Yeah, I absolutely. We can certainly address the 2021 funding. As far as the current allocation that we're being given, I don't know. I could certainly ask our HUD rep what it would take to add that to our current plan, but this does have to be an amendment to the 2020 plan. So, you know, we are on a deadline to meet the June 30th deadline, because that's when the program ends. So, you know, we were trying to facilitate the money into current programs, but absolutely for 2021, we could certainly look at the needs of the community for housing and rent assistance. There's possibly a public service organization that could also help with that.
So I would be curious if Ralph or Tim, are you seeing the same, or or maybe you're aware of funding that I'm not aware of, and therefore it's a non-issue, and this request for Deb to consider really isn't valid?
If I can add, Tim Brown from CEC. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. The CEC will have funds available for rent, water, utilities throughout 21 year. We received a Cdbg grant. It's going to be, we're working out the formalities right now as far as how much we're going to allocate. It's going to be well over $1 million for all, well, $1.5 million for all 3 counties. So there will be assistance available in Erie County for rent, utilities, and water. So if you know anybody in need, have them give us a call. We're going to have plenty of funds available for this year.
For 2021, so I guess,
Right.
so I think, Deb, what you're explaining is that the spending plan now is for expenses incurred in 2020, and therefore there's really not a possibility to help people with back rent with this money. Am I correct about that?
Well, not the way it's currently budgeted.
Okay.
I don't believe, I am certainly going to take this to HUD and see if any of our current activities can help with that. That is a big need in the city. So I will certainly put that through to HUD to see if any of our current activities can help with any of this. And I can certainly get that.
If I could add, with our program, we're going to be able to pay rent 3 months forward with 1 grant alone. So if a customer client that is in a dire strait, we can pay up to 3 months of rent assistance.
In 2021.
Correct.
Yeah, and I'm just food for thought, especially individuals who are not paying rent because of a steady source of income like Social Security disability.
Correct.
But the people who are working and now can't, they have back rent. And
Correct.
I don't know how many residents in the city of Sandusky are plagued with that dilemma, but I would just like to ask that you consider that as a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Debbie,
Yeah,
can I speak on something?
you certainly can.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure Sue was done. I have some concerns about some of these amendments. The first one is the revolving loan withdrawal of $130,000. It was budgeted for $50,000 for acquisitions and demos, and now they want to go up to $180,000. When I asked if there was a list of what you had in mind for the $130,000, there doesn't seem to be one. I was wondering, instead of withdrawing the whole $130,000, if we could just do this in increments of $50,000, since you don't have a list. But then the city is thinking this is a hassle to come back to the committee for approval. It only takes us a couple of days to get us together to approve this. In the past, demos have been charged to the property owner's taxes if he can't afford to take a place down. I think it might be wasted CDBG money not to look at, to continue to put liens on these properties for takedowns. So I'm not, for that, my conclusion is I'm not willing to give up $130,000 just to write a blank check out for this. I'd rather see increment spending maybe in $50,000. That's how I feel about that. The administration salary, I'm not sure if I'm confused on this, but I've gone over the documents and I picked the figures out for this. And you might be able to correct me on this, Deb, but I'm very concerned about the administration salary. Originally, in our budget, we had $87,465 for our original budget. And then COVID came along, and we got some more money for that. The original, like I said, the original budget figure was $148,000. And COVID administration fee, when we got another grant, came to $87,465. And you add those two figures up, and it's $235,000 for administration fees. And then when I asked for a public record of the drawdowns so far on this administration fee, there were I was given 3, but 1 was canceled. So there's only 2 drawdowns with a total of with a total of $5,949.34. So I'm not sure what you're doing with all this administration fee, and maybe we need to take a closer look at that. I know you have 3 years to spend it, but that's a lot of money if that's the case here, $235,000. The city employee that's maintaining this CDBG account is a city employee on our payroll, which I'm thinking, why don't we take 50% out of general fund and 50% out of CDBG account? So we have more funding for lower income people. That's what I have there. And then lastly, every time we sit down in March to go over for our new budget, there's like $200,000 to $300,000 carryover. That's a lot of money to carry over. And I've been complaining about that every year. The carryover, yes, you can use that in 3 years' time, but then we start to lose track. The public loses track of this money when you carry it over for 3 years. Is it really going for that department, or are we saving for a bigger project? Is it being transferred to another department? I just think that we need to work harder in spending down that money, because a CDBG year is from July to July. It carries over into 2 years there. And so it won't be up until July of 2021. So I just wondered if you have any defense on this, because I'm very concerned about these 2 amendments here. That's a lot of money for RLF, $130,000, and this administration fee is mind-boggling. Thank you.
Deb, I could make some comments on a few of those points, if that's okay?
Sure.
And thank you for those comments. You know, we will be reconvening this group in the coming months to start looking at the next year's allocation. So some of these comments are also good as we start to plan for the next round of block grant funding. But in terms of the acquisition budget, we do not have specific properties that we're ready to share at this time, but we are continuing to look at some areas that the city has traditionally been active in, including the MacArthur Park area, as well as some of our other low to moderate income areas with, as we mentioned, particular attention to the potential in some cases to expand public space and park space. I will point out that any of these acquisitions will have to go to the city commission for their approval, so there will be a public process on the use of these funds. Also wanted to mention that the allocation of funds into the admin budget can be reprogrammed at a later time if in fact we don't spend those funds on administration. Really the main benefit that I would point out is that this does give the city flexibility with perhaps continued uncertainty with the general fund. I think everyone's aware of the challenges that the general fund was under last year. So this does give us some flexibility there. And to the extent that any of those funds are not spent on administration, we will be coming back to you with suggestions on how to plug those back into programs. So appreciate the comments and questions though, and we'll certainly keep all that in mind, especially as we go into the next budget period for the block grant.
Debbie, Mr. McCall has his hand raised.
Yes, good morning. I also would like to talk about the acquisition budget. I'm drawing down loan fund on with just 1,000 left. suggestion would to modify that to 100,000, and that would leave 30,000. The revolving still give you a 1,000 for acquisition. Comment. I like in Weaver Park, we get the stakes for the pathway, and you know, that part of the for the rest of the street and stuff, I kind of feel waste of money. I was young. I just people wanting to bite and Weber.
I need to raise a point of order here.
Yes,
this audio is not working at all. And if you don't know it, I don't know how you're recording it.
Debbie, you're muted.
Sorry. I got the sense that Mike was saying that he would rather leave some money in the revolving loan fund and transfer 100,000. But yes, he was breaking in and out, cutting in and out.
Yes, that's what I was saying, was leave 100,000, or I'm sorry, use 130,000.
Hey, Mr. McCall, if you turn off your video, I think it might allow for more bandwidth for your audio to come through.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I just think we should leave some money in the revolving loan fund, although since this is 2020 budget, maybe it's too late for that, but especially with small businesses having so much problem during COVID, I would hope we'd rather promote that there is money in there for small businesses to take that revolving loan fund. We benefited from it, from the county's revolving loan fund, and I think we should promote that and leave some money in there for that. And 150,000 should be plenty to demo. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if I have any response to that. Jonathan, do you have any response to that, or?
No, just thank you, Mr. McCall, for that suggestion.
Yeah. I don't see any other hands raised. So I am going to turn over to an email that I received this morning from Mr. Tim Schwanger. He was unable to attend today, so I'm going to read off his questions first, and then we will address what we can. The first question, or the first comment, is I encourage some of the COVID funds to be used for rent and utilities payments for low to moderate income residents financially impacted by COVID-19. And I think Ms. Doherty had the same, kind of the same comment with her questions, and Tim Brown was very nice to add his comments about how funding can be used for these items. I encourage a reduction in the administrative fee and used for additional programming. I question the use of Cdbg funds for repaving a parking lot. And number 4 is I encourage Cdbg funds for parks and recreation to be used to construct a viable splash pad in the MacArthur Park area. So number 1, I think, you know, that was addressed, and we will be looking into how we might be able to use some of this funding in the next program year. And I will also contact HUD to see if any of our current activities can be programmed for this COVID-19 money. Encouraging the reduction in administration fees. You know, that always seems to be a hot topic, but as Director Holliday stated, we are going to try to, you know, move some of this administration cost from our general fund and utilize this funding. But it is for not just for a staff salary, a single staff salary. There's several, things that can be taken out of this account, which is legal ads, consultant fees, any kind of supplies, equipment. We did have to purchase a laptop so that we could work from home for this program. So, there's a lot of supplies that we need as well. So that's my short answer on that, but we will certainly look into that for the next program year as well. I question the use of CDBG funds for a parking lot. That was a 2020 project, which was already, discussed, approved, awarded. That concern for the future programming can certainly be, held. But as far as what's already been done, I assume Mr. Schwanger was saying the parking lots on Market Street and Wayne Street. So those were projects that are already completed, and they're done very nicely, by the way. Number 4, I encourage the CDBG funds for Parks and Rec to be used to construct a splash pad in the MacArthur Park area. So this as well, we would have to certainly look into the Parks and Recreation fund programming and possibly add that activity to the 2021 programming. So those meetings, I should say, those meetings will be coming up very soon to start the 2021 action plan. So you all will be invited again real soon. And, I hope that you can all attend and voice your concerns, comments, everything. So that's my address to Mr. Schwanger's email. And I see that Ms. Doherty has her hand up again. So we'll go ahead and talk with Ms. Doherty again.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. So the good news from Tim Brown is that moving forward for 2021, there will be money to help with that. But I guess I want to make sure I clearly ask the question of if there is an opportunity to pay the back balances from 2020 with any of the CDBG money. Is that an opportunity to address that social problem?
Okay. That is noted. I'm sorry. I did.
Thank you.
Could I make a comment?
Sure.
Sue,
Yes.
I kind of misspoke. With this consolidated grant we just received, we'll be able to pay 3 months of back rent. Okay?
Oh, okay.
3 months. And we can pay forward rent if they meet certain requirements. So we're going to have plenty of money available for rent, utilities, including water. Because water system is a big demand. So we're going to have funds available through the year for rent and utility assistance. We can pay 3 months of back rent with this grant.
Thank you, Tim. And so Deb, with that in mind, if there would be, because COVID's been around since March, so if some consideration could be given for individuals who have back rent from June, July, August, September, maybe. So food for thought. Thank you.
Now, last year, I know we're only month and a half into this year, we assisted many clients within the city of Sandusky with rent, water, utilities. We paid 4 to 5, 6 months of back rent last year alone. So we really assisted a lot of households. Now, them same households would be eligible for our new grant. So again, anyone that knows anybody in need of assistance as far as with rent, have them contact us. We have funds available.
That's amazing, Tim. I would love to have, if you have a flyer or anything that we can post on our website.
We will. We will set up flyers for the new grant. We're going to also be receiving additional grant. So we're going to have a lot of funds available for our Erie County residents this year. We're going to be it's going to be on our website. We're putting together new flyers to make sure that everyone gets a flyer of our program, and also visit our website.
That's
Okay.
great news. Thank you.
right.
Sue, I may have cut you off. I apologize if I did. Do you have more comments?
No, I wasn't cut off. Thank you.
Okay. All
Debbie?
right. Does anyone?
Debbie, this
Yes.
is Sharon.
Hi.
When we take a vote on these amendments, are we going to take four separate, I think there's four different amendments. Are we going to take four separate votes on them? Or are we going to vote them all together or what?
I'm not aware that these were voted on.
Well, we did last time, I believe. I mean, how do you get this approved if the members don't vote on it?
Well, we get it approved through our city commission.
Debbie, this is just a public meeting, correct?
Yeah. Well, this is an advisory group, so.
Right.
Okay, so you're saying that this is going to the commission and we have one last chance to chime in then, huh? Before they do a vote?
At the public hearing, yes.
Okay.
I'll just add that I do believe we will be taking notes on all of the comments that we received today and including that in our submission to HUD. So I do appreciate everyone's comments, and those will be recorded and provided to HUD.
I'd like to say one more thing. So the minutes go to the commissioners and all the comments, is that correct?
Yes, that's how I understand it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any public comment or
Hi,
participation?
this is Ralph. I was curious, I know there's not a list of which properties for demo dispo you would wanted to have there, but isn't there a laundry list of properties that were identified over the years that the city's been working through?
For demolitions?
Yeah.
I can put them out there, I can answer that question right now for what has been demoed for the 2020 year. And the last ones just came down, I would say within the last couple weeks. So we had demolitions at 1913 Camp Street. We had 1932 Putnam Street, 423 Fulton Street, 805 North Depot, 410 Lawrence Street, 1520 and 1522 Hayes Ave, 2106 Parkview, and 1730 Putnam Street.
My point though was just, I think over the years when this first came up, I think there was a laundry list of properties that the city identified as potential for use of these types of funds that were well beyond what the funding was available for. So I just think it was an ongoing list, if I recall properly. I might be wrong.
No, you could be absolutely correct. I know that our compliance office configures that because they cite the violations and the, on the properties. So I can certainly provide what's in their, in their wheelhouse, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. It's just what they have determined, would be an eligible property.
And I also wanted to point out, as far as the senior center goes with the Meals on Wheels program, I know some documentation was going to you to allocate that funding. It was just because of COVID, there were some issues with getting the documentation over to you, but I think that's being processed if you haven't already received it. So.
Understandable. I know you guys do great work over there, and we've never had an issue getting the documentation. So.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie, could I say something else?
Sure.
With this revolving loan fund, I just don't think we should tap that completely out because we're not getting that much in issue 8 for development funds, because that goes according to what is brought in for admission tax and so on, and that budget's going to be cut a little bit. So you might have to lean, if a company, and I agree with the other gentleman, what he said, you might have to lean on some of this revolving loan fund if we have to. It's like an emergency funding here. I know some of the small businesses that need to be helped out, they rather get a free grant, but if the money's not there, they can always go to the revolving loan fund and get a small loan on that. That's what I'm concerned about right now during this pandemic we're having, to tap this whole thing out like this. And if you, I don't think you were around, but I remember when we did this, we took all of it out when we closed it out and left, we were supposed to leave $100,000 in there for small businesses if they needed it. And now we're going to tap all of that out and leave, what, $1,000 in there? I'm not liking that at all. I don't like giving out $130,000 blank check. I just don't like that. I think that has to be looked at. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't disagree that, we can look at that. I just know that, in the last couple of years, we've not received any applications for this fund or this funding.
Well, excuse me, but because of Issue 8 grant fund, who's going to take out a low-interest loan when you get it free on Issue 8? Mm-hmm. That's why it hasn't been tapped out. But we don't have that much. What I'm trying to say, we don't have that much coming into 2021. They may have to do that. If push gets to shove, we're going to have to rely on some of this to keep some of these businesses afloat here.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that there's certain challenges to that funding as well, I know, as far as the requirements. So,
and it all depends, and I don't want any surprises when it comes up to the commission and you have certain projects for this, 130,000, and we get surprised and we don't like what you're going to spend it on. It says acquisitions, okay? But you don't know what you're all spending this on because you don't have a list. And that's what I'm not going to give you a blank check on. So I see maybe 50,000 would be fine right now, but I think that's what you might have in mind here, is that you want this all transferred to Cdbg fund so somebody doesn't know about this money here in revolving loan fund and tap it out before you get to spend it on Cdbg. I don't think that's fair right now under the conditions of this pandemic. Thank you.
Debbie, I'll just say briefly, thank you also for those comments. I think we've heard that now from two folks, and Debbie and I'll certainly take a look at that and talk that through and take a look at that before this does go to the city commission. So I appreciate everyone's feedback on that item.
Okay, Steve Pajali, did you have your hand up? Unmute yourself, please.
Steve Pajali.
There you are.
Is now exiting.
Oh. Well, to me it looks like he had his hand up, but apparently not. I think we've covered about everything we can today. The City Commission will meet on March 8th on this topic. That's the public hearing. So, everyone's more than welcome to submit their comments. Now, these comments would be submitted prior to the meeting. The comment period ends on March 5th. That is a Friday, either 4th or 5th. I'm very sorry that I don't have that date, but I believe it's the 5th. So those comments would have to be submitted prior. All right, thank you again, everybody, for attending. Director Holliday, do you have anything else to add?
No, thanks again for everyone's participation. Feel free to reach out to Debbie or I if you have any comments during the public comment period. And just want to thank you all for participating today and your feedback. Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at an hour in, so it's 9:52. Thank you.